Welcome to episode 13 of the tutorial series Livewire 3 from scratch. My name is William Juma. In this episode we are going to learn about computed properties in Livewire 3. Computed properties are derived properties that enable us to access values and cache them to be used within a single component request. It is possible though to use them for the lifetime of a component, or even better, to be accessed through all components. Computed properties improve the performance of web applications because the properties are cached and can be accessed without making further requests. We can manipulate eloquent data or perform any kind of operations inside a computed property before returning it. They are helpful also when we need to modify our data within the view component. Let us go ahead and work with the data that we actually did create in the previous episode, where we were looking at the search box, and we are also able to create the drop down that can be able to give us the different number of records that we can be able to paginate here. I would like to turn this component such that we can be able to use computed properties. So let us go ahead and look at our all users component. So inside Livewire all users, the component that we used for the previous episode. And what we are going to do currently, let me just take you through what we did in our previous episode. So what we did, we were doing pagination, and so we were passing in pagination the number of columns that we would want to paginate, and we were also passing in the query. After that, we were checking if the query is empty, we were returning all the users from the database, or else if the query was not empty, then we could be able to pass it in here and be able to search both the email and the name and then paginate the data that we get. And so this is actually inside the render function, and then down here we were returning the users here, the user, whether from this or this other option. I would like us to create a computed property and be able to migrate some of the data that we have to that computed property. So the first thing I want us to do is to use Livewire attributes and then computed. After that, then we can be able to have another function here now, which we will turn into a computed property. So we are going to have public function, and I want to call it users because even that is how we are calling it here. And then I want us to have it like that. So it's just a function. Currently it's not a computed property, but if I want to turn this function into a computed property, then what I'm going to do is to just include the attribute here. The same way we were including attributes in the previous episodes, we can be able to introduce an attribute called computed, like that. Computed, like that. Let me just check if yes, we have it. Okay, so basically once we do that, now this function that we have here is now computed. What I would like to do is I would like to copy everything that we have here. Not entirely everything, but yes, up until the end of the if function. So you cut it, and then I'm going to paste it inside here. And then instead of saving to a variable user, we just want us to return like that. So even for this second option, we are also just going to return whatever it is that we have there. And basically now this is working. Of course, I will go also and remove this array that we were having here. So I'm going to remove it completely. Now let us go to our front end and see what we can be able to do about receiving the data now from this computed property. Obviously, if you want to refer to the computed property, whether in the Livewire class or in the blade file, you must start with this. So in this case, I would like to go to the place where we are looping through. So here we have it as users. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say this, and then we have an arrow that you access the users. And then obviously we also have the pagination links. So here again, we are just having users. Still here, I will say this users, like that. If I save and we attempt and refresh our page, you can see everything is working perfectly. And now, still, if we attempt to search, as you can see, we are able to search without a problem. So basically everything is working fine. And yet still, if we want to pass in a different value of the number of records that we want, as you can see, still we are able to have them. Sometimes you may want to be able to persist this computed property across all components. What you can do, you can come to the place where you have computed, and you can be able to pass some values inside here. And what you can be able to say here, you can be able to just say persist true and set it to true, like that, so that we'll be able to persist, or in other words, make this component available even, the computed property available even to other components throughout the lifetime. And then of course, this will take 60 seconds. If you want to do a little bit more than that, you can say seconds, and then you can pass in maybe 60 minutes, and then you can pass in maybe, if you want to have it, like, let me say in 2 hours, something of that sort. Obviously, I will go back and attempt to refresh our component, and you can see still everything works. Basically, that is how you can be able to work with computed properties in Livewire. And obviously, you can be able to even call these users several times within this page, but you will not have any overhead. So in this case, computed properties will help you when you have very heavy queries that you are supposed to perform in the database, and then you do not want to do the requests every single time. You can be able to use the computed properties. This is the end of this tutorial episode. I thank you for following this tutorial up until this point. I urge that if you have not subscribed to my channel, that you may take a minute and subscribe. And you can also share this video. And if you like what we have discussed in this episode, you can go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Thank you very much.